Greetings, my name is Nolan Razon, and I've had the privilege of serving as your former cultural dance coordinator and current PCN director. I'm running to be your vice executive chairperson. My vision is grounded in Bayanihan, the idea of communal support, uplifting each other while serving the larger community. I want to be more than just a theme. I want it to show up in how we run this organization. To make that clear, I want to focus on 3 pillars: academic excellence, and cultural and political awareness. For academic excellence, I want to move from occasional support to a consistent structure by rebuilding something like PACE, our former STEM professional sister club. Instead of focusing on STEM, we expanded to all majors and bring it back as a branch within PAA focused on professional and academic development beyond Ka'ampi. This would provide monthly workshops, alumni panels, and professional development sessions like resume and interview prep. To make this sustainable, I would reach out to past PACE members and alumni, build a small team, and pilot a few events before expanding into consistent programming. This also creates the opportunities to collaborate with other organizations to share resources and reach more students. For the next 2 pillars, impact starts with understanding. If we want cultural awareness and political struggle to mean something long-term, we need a clear why. That's why I want to finish and implement Kilos Nagbayan, our political handbook, to create consistency in how members learn and engage. I plan to do this by working with its original creators and collaborating with Filipinx and Filipino American and political organizations to refine it into a clear framework for PAA programming. Once finalized, we'll use it to guide workshops, service events, and collaborations so every event has a clear purpose: education, action, and community. This means applying it into general meetings, adding short educational components to service events, and structuring 1 to 2 collaborative events per semester. With that being said, it's important to know my why. My first year in PAA, at the Faith, the former chief of staff, former chief of staff messaged me for the member. And I was scared, like super duper scared. It was really bad. Not just presenting it, but even talking to an older member. I remember going up there being shaky, fumbling my words, and taking forever to respond to her message because I had 0 confidence. But over time, that changed. This org gave me the confidence to speak up, talk to people in positions above me, and carry myself in a respectful and effective way. That growth didn't just happen. It came from the spaces and people in this organization. Because of that, I feel a responsibility to give back and create those same opportunities for others. Service to this club, service to the members, service to the people. Serbisyo sa tao. Maraming salamat.
Second.
Thank you. I have Lynn's question, so I'm right here. She has 2 questions for you, Nolan. She says, in your years as a cabinet member, what have you learned about yourself personally, academically, and in leadership that you will bring for your cabinet in the next term? And how will you use what you've learned to best support cabinet in their many different needs?
I think combining all of those 3 things into one, I think it's asking for help. As a first year, I never really asked for help and did everything by myself. But now implementing it into cabinet, not necessarily forcing them, but heavily suggesting them, asking for help, offering our support, and even reflecting on what their positions are and what they need help in. And then can you repeat the second question one more time?
How will you use those traits to help cabinet in their many different needs?
Oh. Wait, first question, sorry.
What have you learned yourself personally and academically and in leadership that you will bring to cabinet into your term?
I think adding onto asking for help, I think it's also time management and prioritizing what needs to be prioritized. There are times where I prioritized PAA over academics. There's times I prioritized some stupid things over academics. So I learned how to prioritize, how to time manage, and really implementing that into my life.
Thank you, Nolan. Lynn's second question is, hypothetically, you have multiple cabinet members who want to pursue long-term projects that are difficult to reach. How will you know when to draw the line between unreachable and setting realistic goals to assist cabinet members in accomplishing their goals?
Yeah, I think, first of all, just communication, talking to them what those actual goals are, and then explaining to them whether it's me, Eboard, or just as a cabinet as a whole, if it is unattainable, undrawable, And where that line is drawn, I think it's more so like, good question. Do we have the time for it? Do you have the people for it? And is it worth it, given the effort and time that is put into that? So, yeah.
Great job, Nolan. Um, can you provide an example of a situation that is appropriate for Eboard to handle, and then a situation that you would encourage the person that is bringing the situation to Eboard to go to maybe a different person?
I think an appropriate situation will be like, if off the top of my head, if there's a member in the CMCD that feels like they're being treated unfairly or not being included. What was the second part of the question? I'm so sorry. What was the second part?
That's not for Eboard.
Gotcha.
Situation for Eboard and situation not for Eboard.
Gotcha. So yeah, and if that member feels unincluded and feels uncomfortable to talk with that CMCD coordinator, I think that is a situation to handle of Eboard with CMCD. And I think a situation that's not needed for Eboard. Great question. I think it's just like more so of the simple things that can be solved within themselves. So if it's within CAB, like the most simplest thing I could think about is like PCN needing help with writing the script. I don't think Eboard needs to do that. But if it's more so a general member, if it's something like, if it's like I don't know, a social event, and like they feel like they want to be they want to lead that event, I think that's more so of cabinet's role.
Hello, Nolan. Great job on your speech. My question for you is, not only are you running for an Eboard position, but specifically internal vice. How will you as internal vice help keep next year's cabinet cohesive and working as a unit within our internal operations?
Yeah, I think again, it's going back to the three pillars. Understanding, having cabinet understand what our vision is as Eboard. So those three pillars and the idea of buying neon, and also using our PCN and CMCD meetings as a template. To give context, we had weekly to biweekly meetings with PCN and CMCD. We all collaborated, and it wasn't necessarily PCN telling what CMCD to do. It was more so of everyone helping a director or that member. So I think it's also implementing that. So continuing the one-on-ones, and also maybe even like having smaller groups instead of one-on-ones, having smaller groups where everyone can help each other, not necessarily having a quote-unquote power dynamic.
Hello, Nolan. Congratulations. I'm super proud of you. So, in the past, you've expressed interest in retiring from cabinet, but what made you want to stay and why vice executive in particular?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
So in the past, you've expressed interest in retiring from cabinet, but what made you want to stay and why vice executive in particular?
Yeah, again, it goes back to the idea from my first year with At the Faith and seeing what my growth has come, or what my growth became because of this club, and now seeing how many new audings there are, especially first years. I want to have that same growth, same opportunities for those audings, basically just sharing my growth and opportunities to those people.
I motion for more time.
Second. Hi, my goat. Super proud of you and who you are and who you're becoming. My question for you is, knowing that you would serve both cabinet and the general body, how will you balance making sure cabinet members feel heard, but more importantly, that our general members feel represented and heard too?
Yeah, I think it always comes back to having those spaces for discussion, creating a space and creating an environment for everyone to talk. And that's both within general body and, like you said, cabinet. So using those cabinet minutes to air out any problems cabinet has or anything that wants to be discussed within cabinet. And then using general meetings too. I think open forum can be more used for not necessarily just having external things, but also things within PAA. And then also just creating opportunities for general members to go to either Eboard or just cabinet, so their ideas and their thoughts are heard.
Amazing job, Nolan. How do you plan on, this is a general question, but how do you plan on facilitating potential conflict between cabinet members? And how do you be a leader for cabinet as a member of the board?
For handling conflict, I think, again, it comes back to having that discussion, knowing what went wrong and understanding both perspectives from both members, and having them understand each other's perspectives, and then coming to a compromise from that, and also just taking time within that. Can you repeat your second question? Can you repeat your second question?
How would you show up as a leader for cabinet as a potential Eboard member?
I think, again, having cabinet understand our vision of Bayanihan and understanding the 3 pillars as Eboard. So within events, making sure that our vision is still within those events. So things like Barrio, things like PCN are still rooted in Bayanihan, still rooted in academic excellence, political and cultural awareness. So yeah.
Hello. Hi. Hi, Nolan. Amazing job. And I also want to say thank you for allowing me to learn under you. I just had a question. Because you're going for another position in CAB that's also an Eboard position, your past positions in CAB have been very culturally focused, being a cult coordinator and a PCM coordinator. How do you plan, or what do you think this experience going for an Eboard position is going to be different compared to leading in your past positions?
Yeah, I think it's still continuing that cultural aspect. Within the club and within CAB, I still want to implement the vision of being culturally aware, politically aware, but now it's balancing academic excellence and just being a leader in general, and being more so socially interacting with the general members more. So I think it's not necessarily deleting the entire cultural aspect out, but more so just building onto that with these other 2 things.
Hi, Nolan. You did amazing. My question is, knowing that you have obligations back at home that require you to go back, how will you be able to both balance that or even deal with a situation where you have to go home but you'll be missing an important event or meeting for this club?
Yeah. Again, it comes down to priority. So in most situations, I will prioritize being here if it is a big event. But in the case that I am not able to go to those priority events, it's helping where I can help out. So it's supporting in the small things, whether it's things like promotion, things like, I don't know, so yeah, supporting in those small things and just checking in on those CAB members when needed. So yeah.
Hello, Nolan. Great speech. My question is, how would you go about when you feel a cabinet member is leaning too much on you and Eboard as a whole?
Again, it's going back to discussions and conversations, and as Eboard being transparent about that. Of course, we're always there to support, but at the end of the day, it is a position that they need to lead in. And just coming up with compromises, coming up with tangible things that both us as Eboard and them as a position can do in order to relieve that. It's cool.
Second.